Now that the Grand Slam has been achieved, the big question around Rory McIlroy is, how many majors should he win to truly be considered with the other greats of the game? The best golfers in the world are always all measured on one thing, and that's the majors. Sure, hundreds of millions of dollars of Saudi money is really great, but if you really want to be seen as a great in the game, it's how you stack up with the major wins. Rory McIlroy turns 36 next month. He is on 5 majors currently, but for his legacy and his abilities, how many majors should Rory win come the end of his career? For perspective, his current level of 5 majors puts him on par with Byron Nelson, James Bird, John Taylor, Seve Ballesteros, and Brooks Koepka. Now, no disrespect to any of those guys, but I would say Rory's better than all of these guys and should therefore be on a higher level. So that moves us on to 6 major titles, where there are 3 guys currently. That is Lee Trevino, Nick Faldo, and Phil Mickelson. Now, especially when you consider Phil and length of career, these are some pretty big names. But again, I really think Rory should be above the level of these 3 players. Now moving up to 7 is a really big level when it comes to major winners because it includes 2 more Grand Slam winners. That's Arnold Palmer and Gene Sarazen. But along with that, Sam Snead and Bobby Jones, along with Harry Vardon, those guys have all reached the level of 7 majors. Now they're all great in their own ways, all got amazing backstories and they all have amazing legacies in the game. But again, I just really believe the kind of player that Rory is, the kind of abilities that he should be above this level. Now we're going really to the top end of his potential here. This brings us to 8 major titles and the level of Tom Watson. Tom Watson was an absolute great in the 70s and 80s, particularly at the Open. Although he's actually just 1 major short of the Grand Slam. He never won the PGA, and if he did, he would have gone to 9 major titles and would have been a Grand Slam winner. So now we start looking at, is Rory on this level? And it's a pretty lofty level. And again, there's just something about Rory just needs 3 more. You know, I know it's taken quite a while, obviously a very long time to get that 5th major, but for him to get 3 more currently, it sounds super doable, right? So I reckon, again, he can supersede where Tom Watson was and he can go above that. But the above that, this is a particularly high level, the level of 9. This is held by 2 more Grand Slam winners, Ben Hogan and Gary Player. Storied legends of the game who committed their lives to their craft and their legacies. So when you compare Rory to these guys, it's a big one. It really is. Again, it's just 4 more major titles from where Rory is right now, but these guys are absolute legends of legends. And I would kind of cap it off here. I think Rory's potential, without getting too carried away, would see him get to 9. I think he would be over the moon with a career of 9. And to be in the same sort of conversation as Hogan and Player, that would be the upper reaches, I think, of Rory's potential and legacy in the game. Of course, north of that, we have 3 players that I think will be untouchable when it comes to records. Walter Hagen, he sits at 11 major titles. He was particularly good back in the day in the PGA Championship, back when it was a match play tournament. Now, Walter was probably the first real proper professional golfer. Back in his day, it was almost frowned upon to be a professional. It was almost seen a bit grimy, a little bit low class. You know, coming from the era of Bobby Jones, who was the consummate gentleman and golfer. Walter was like, I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna make some money, I'm gonna hook up with chicks, I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna do everything I want because I'm that guy. So he's a really cool guy at 11. And then from there, we're into the upper stratosphere of 2 golfers who epitomize the greatest that the game will have ever seen. Tiger has 15 major titles, Jack has 18 major titles. Jack Nicklaus, of course, and Tiger Woods. Players so huge, you only have to use their first names. Now, I don't see these 2 ever being eclipsed in any kind of way. The GOATS conversation is always around these 2 and these 2 alone. And for many people, that conversation will go on for forever, really. But I think we look at someone like Rory and how good he can get. Like I said, I think 9 is the upper reaches of where he could get. And then to consider that Tiger is 6 more than that. Then to consider Jack is 9 more than that. It really does put into perspective just how incredible those 2 golfers were and should be celebrated as such. But anyway, what do you think about Rory's major list? What will it come to? And who will he ultimately be compared to legacy-wise when it stacks up on the numbers here? He's still only 36, like I said, in the month of May. So for the way he's kept his body so far, I know he's got a very high octane golf swing, but the guy's got so much natural ability. You think he's got at least another 4 or 5 years that he can be really, really super competitive. And after that, I mean, Jack won when he was in his late 40s. Tiger won in his rickety body, mid to late 40s. Rory's got all the potential in the world, and it's going to be so fun seeing where this ride ends up.
Catch the On The Bounce show every Thursday from 4 p.m. or click here and here for past and present episodes.